on the town as the children start to sing. Men across the street. Hello, everybody. Today we're going to look at solving proportions. So bear with me. My voice is a mess today, but I wanted to push on, and hopefully we'll get through this quickly, and you guys will have no problems with this lesson. Chapter 5.4, Solving Proportions. So let's get right at this. We're going to use a couple methods when solving these proportions. If you remember in 5.3, we were setting up the proportions. We were writing them. Now we're going to solve them. And the way we're going to look at solving them today is, one, using the multiplication property of equality. And the other way, the one I'm most familiar with, is using cross products. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. Okay, so when solving proportions using the multiplication property of equality, all we're doing is this. We are looking at, well, let's start off this way. When we write a proportion, you're going to have three values and one unknown. And so our unknown will be in the form of a variable. And so whatever is below, the denominator below our variable, that's what we're going to multiply by. So here, we have 5/7 is equal to x over 21. And so we want to get the x by itself. And so we have to multiply both sides by 21 to get rid of that. So if you look, the 21 cancels out this 21, giving us x. And you can use your calculator for the other part, or if you want, you can show your work here. 7 goes into 7 once. It goes into 21 3 times. And 3 times 5 is 15. So therefore, 15 equals x. All right? So I'm going to have you guys try a couple problems just like this one, using the multiplication property of equality. Okay? So give it a try, and when you're done, I'll go over it with you and see how you did. Okay. So hopefully you paused this and you gave it a try, see how you did. Let's take a look. Now, as I mentioned before, whatever number is below the variable, the denominator of the variable, you're going to multiply by that. So we have w divided by 6, or over 6, equals 6 over 9. And so we're going to multiply both sides by 6. And the 6's cancel out, leaving us with w. Now, there's a couple ways of doing this. Like I said, you can always, find out how many times 6 goes into 9, so on and so forth like that. That probably isn't the quickest way for you. You're allowed to use a calculator, and sometimes you can do this in your head. This is how I would suggest doing it, as long as it's, as long as you can do this. 6 times 6 is 36. 36 divided by 9 is 4. So if you want to, you can just do it that way. I think that will be a lot less messy and easier for you. Let's try number 2. Again, for number 2, we have 12 over 10, and we have equals a over 15. And we're going to multiply both sides by 15 because we want to get that a by itself. So, the easy part, the 15s cancel out, getting us a. And then the other part, again, if you want, you can take 15, use your calculator, multiply it by 12, and you get 180. Okay? And 180 divided by 10 gets you 18. I'm going to show you the other way, in case you prefer doing it the other way, as far as like when multiplying. Again, I don't care which way you do it. You can either use your calculator like I did for 1 and 2, or for number 3, you can do it this way. We have y over 6 equals 2 over 4. And we can multiply both sides by 6. Again, the easy part, canceling out these 6's, leaving us with a y. Now again, if you want to, you can do it this way. You can say, well, 4 and 6 can both be divided by 2, giving me 2 and 3. and then the 2 and 2 both become 1s, leaving us with 3. I don't care if you do it like we did for number 3 or if you do it like we did for 1 and 2. Whatever is easiest for you. Again, for number 3, if you wanted to, you could have just said 2 times 6 is 12. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I guess it just really depends on the number and what you feel most comfortable with. Okay. Again, I apologize for my voice. The one thing I can tell you, though, is this will be a pretty quick lesson, so you won't have to deal with listening to me for very long. All right, example 2. This is the method that I've used most of my math career. When I've multiplied proportions, I've done the cross products. And so let me show you what we do here. We have x over 8 equals 7 over 20. I'm sorry, over 10. And you're going to do the cross products. So 7 times 8 equals 56. And then 10 times x equals 10x. And when I do this, now I want to get the x by itself, so I have to divide it by 10. These cancel out. I get x equals 5.6. Now I'm going to show you the way the book does it. It's a slight modification of what I showed you there. Again, I don't care which way you do it. Either way is fine with me. We have 9 divided by y equals 3 over 17. And again, we're going to multiply 17 by 9. So I'm going to put down 17 times 9 equals 3 times y. So here I'm just writing out my the numbers I'm going to multiply. Okay, and then 17 times 9, you probably want to use a calculator. We get 153. And this equals 3y. Now I can divide both sides by 3. These cancel out. I get 51 is equal to y. Okay, this is solving a proportion using your cross products. So for our next set of 3 problems, I want you to do the same thing. You're going to solve these using the cross products property. Okay, so go ahead and give this a try. Okay, so let's take a look, see how you guys did with this. I'll go over these problems. Now, I have a feeling you may have struggled a little bit on number 6. We'll see which of you guys were able to figure this out. You will have more problems like number 6. And next year, when you take algebra, you're going to have like an entire section over problems like number 6. And in fact, this is the whole reason we learn how to solve proportions, is so that when you go to algebra next year, you can solve problems like number 6 fairly easily. Okay, so what we're going to do here is 7 times x is 7x. And then 2 times 28 is 56. I'm going to divide both sides by 7. And I get 8 equals x. Now again, if you prefer doing it this way, I can do 12 times y equals 6 times 5. You can write it out this way, and then I get 12y equals 30. Divide both sides by 12. And the y, 12s cancel out, I get y, and then you divide 30 by 12 in your calculator. If it's a terminating decimal, you can use it. If it's not, you have to write it as a fraction. And so it actually becomes 2.5, so you may use that. So y equals 2.5. All right, for number 6, let's see how you guys did with this one. See if you're able to figure it out. I would do number 6 like I did number 5. I think that'd be the easiest way of doing it. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to do 6 times 40 equals, we'll do 15 times, and you're doing the entire thing here. You're doing x plus 1. And we're putting in parentheses because you're multiplying that entire expression by 15. So 6 times 40 gets us 240. 15 times x is 15x, plus 15 times 1 is 15. And now I have a two-step equation that I have to solve. So I can just subtract 15 from both sides. I get 225 equals 15x. And now I can divide both sides by 15. And I get x is equal to 15. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you. Even better, hopefully you were able to figure that out on your own. Let's go ahead and move on. Now, I was looking at these problems, and the problems that we're going to see, the next set of problems, you're either going to want to use your agenda. There's a conversion table there that will tell you like how many centimeters are an inch, how many ounces are in a gram, things like that. Something else you can do is you can also go online and look it up. For now, though, to make your life easier, I'm going to give you the conversions for all the problems we're going to do here. And I don't know what we'll have to expect for our assignment, but just keep in mind you can always Google it, and you can always look in your agenda at the back. Okay? So it says the graph shows the toll Y due on a turnpike for driving X miles. Your toll is $7.50. How many kilometers did you drive? So we're given the point 107.5. That tells me that I pay $7.50 for 7.5 miles, or for 100 miles. However, they want to know how many kilometers was it. And so I need to know how many kilometers there are in a mile. And so over here, it's given to you. And if not, you can just look it up. You're given 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers. And we're going to convert using a ratio. So how we do that is this way. We take our 100 miles and we're going to multiply it by the conversion of 1.61 kilometers over 1 mile. And the miles, they cancel out, and then we just, the 1 doesn't do anything. So 100 times 1.61 is 161 kilometers. So you drove about 161 kilometers. All right? Hopefully that made sense to you. You could also do the same problem with using a proportion. For me, again, I'm used to proportions. I prefer proportions. And I think that you're going to get used to seeing problems that are going to stand out to you as this is a proportion problem. Again, if you have 3 knowns and 1 unknown, that is a proportion problem. And so again, we know that we're dealing with 100 miles is 750, and they want to know how many kilometers it is. So I would set up my proportion as this. I'll put down kilometers over miles, and then I set up my proportion. I know that 1.61 kilometers equals 1 mile. And I know that I have 100 miles. What I don't know is how many kilometers that is. So I can do 100 times 1.61. And that gets, so again, I have 1.61 times 100 equals 1 times x. So I get 161 equals x. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys try number 7 and 8. Now, let me give you some information to make life easier for you. 1 inch is approximately 2.54 centimeters. And 1 gram is approximately 0.035 ounces. Okay, so use that information to solve these two proportions. I'm going to pause it, see how you do on it, and then we'll go over it together. Okay, let's give this a try, see how you guys did. So, I'm going to have inches over centimeters. Now, if you did centimeters over inches, it doesn't make a difference. It still works just fine. I'm going to just go from left to right. So I know I have 7.5 over my unknown amount. I know that 1 inch is equal to 2.54. And if I do my cross products, I know x times 1 is x. And if I do my cross products on the other side, I do 7.5 times 2.54, and I get 19.05. So this is 19.05 centimeters. Okay? Pretty easy, right? Let's try our next one. I have grams to ounces. I have 100 grams over an unknown amount of ounces. And I know that 1 gram equals 0.035 ounces. So I know 1 times x is just x. I know 100 times 0.035 is 3.5. So I get 3.5 ounces. All right, so let's go ahead and try our next and final two. So here we have liters to quarts. So I'll tell you that 1 liter is equal to 1.06 quarts. And then 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet. Okay, so you guys give these two problems a try, and then we will be all done. Okay? All right, so our last two problems, see how you guys did on these. Okay, so we're going to do liters over quarts. Set up my proportion. I have 2 liters equals x quarts. I know that 1 liter equals 1.06 quarts. So 1 times x equals x, and 2 times 1.06 equals 2.12. So I know that 2 liters is equal to 2.12 quarts. And our final problem. We have meters to feet. And I have 4 meters equals an unknown amount of feet. I know that 1 meter equals 3.28 feet. So 1 times x equals x, and then 4 times 3.28 equals 13.12. So 4 meters equals 13.12 feet. All right, well, that is our lesson on how to solve proportions. Hopefully this made sense to you. Best of luck with your assignment with this, and you have a great day.